Hello traveller, so today is the day we do my 2019 August packing list. Now this was a 3-week trip where I travelled to Bangkok from Sydney. I travelled with Air Asia and they did weigh my backpack. I have seen some people say that Air Asia or the budget carriers don't necessarily weigh the bag, but it seems like all of the budget carriers within Australia or departing from Australia do tend to weigh the bags. So my total packing weight with all my souvenirs and everything is about 8 kilograms or just under, which is about 17.5 pounds. So excluding souvenirs and everything and using a technique to carry some of the heavier items, the total pack weight comes down to 15 pounds or just under 7 kilograms, and that's with a laptop, with a camera, with the GoPro accessories. The only thing which I am carrying to reduce the weight is my passport wallet and the Nintendo Switch, and also the turtle neck pillow. So without further ado, let's dive into the bag and have a look at my packing list. So starting with my day bag, this is what I carried most days when I was just out and about. And this is actually the Pack Lite 7, which came with this one here, which is the Timber BYOB7. So that's basically a little camera carry bag. So I put my mirrorless camera in here, which I'm using to film this. I also have some accessories in here and an extra lens, SD cards and stuff up here. I also do have a lavalier microphone here. So it's got lots of nice little pockets and organization in this bag. And the great thing about this is that it fits right into the sling nicely, and you still have extra room down the side and a little mesh pocket here, which can be handy to carry all kinds of things. And overall, this was a great little day bag that I think I'll continue to use for future trips. Now in my day bag, typically I always carry something like some tissues and some wet wipes or some wet tissues, and that's just because oftentimes you're eating street food or you're not near a place where you can wash your hands, so these are really handy just to have in your day bag. When I was traveling through the islands, I also carried some mosquito repellent wipes and also some mosquito repellent spray, which I'll get to in a minute. So the other thing I tended to carry in the day bag and was very useful for most days was this power bank here and a universal cable. So this cable has an Apple adapter, a USB-C and a micro USB to USB, and so I could use my power bank to plug that in and charge my friends' phones or my phone or my GoPro or my camera whilst out and about during the day. So this was a very handy thing to have in the day carry bag. The other thing I carried in there was just this little bag here. This is the Nature Hike, a little nylon bag. It did come with its own sling, but I took that off. And what I did was I put the power bank just in this pocket here with the cable. And then inside here I have a couple of GoPro accessories. So I have the GoPro cage, an extra GoPro battery and charger, a GoPro backpack clip so I could do time-lapse videos. So the other thing I also took most days was the GoPro and the Saramonic SM1 microphone here with the wind muff, and also this little extending tripod here, which was handy for some situations. And that all fit nicely into this carry case here. So that was my GoPro accessories and battery power bank, and that all was with me most days while I was carrying around this day bag. So in addition to that, I also packed my 13-inch MacBook Pro. So I use this mainly for working, but this is probably the heaviest item and one item that I would like to reduce if I could. So I know the Surface Pro is a little bit lighter weight. The iPad Pro is also a little bit lighter weight. When you add the keyboard, it adds more weight. So for me, there's no way around this. If I want to edit videos on the go, I would not recommend bringing a laptop if you really don't need to use it. So the laptop slides nicely into this back pocket here. So onto the camera accessories. So in here I have the Rode SmartLav Plus, just tucked down the back here. And inside I have some SD cards, a lens cleaner. Here I have a camera strap, some camera body covers and stuff like that. This is where I kept my mirrorless camera, the Sony a6400, which I'm filming with. Again, I probably wouldn't bring this with me on the next trip. So the total weight of this was actually just under 1 kilogram, which is about 2 pounds. So again, this is something that I would definitely cut for the next trip because I didn't really need it that much. For most situations, my phone actually did a pretty good job of taking quick videos and photos when I needed to. But if you definitely do need a professional camera, then that's probably something you'll want to bring with you. But the laptop and the camera are something that you can probably travel without, and that make the load of your bag significantly lighter weight. So I typically carried the camera cube about here in my bag. This here is actually just a jacket that I was wearing when I came from Australia. So this is actually just a thin jacket from Uniqlo, which I actually did a review of here if you want to click up there and have a look. Just down in the pocket here I also did carry my merino wool buff, so that's something I always travel with no matter where I'm going, whether it's hot or cold. So the other thing I travel with these Shure SE215s. These are not noise cancelling, but they are isolating headphones. So it has a nice little carabiner built in here. I have my adapter here, an airline adapter. It does have an inline remote, and they do a pretty good job of isolating most of the noise from an aircraft or people talking on the plane. And they were able to give me enough isolation to let me get some sound sleep on the plane. These ones I stored just in the top pocket here. So I also carried the Chums Surf Short Wallet, and I will be doing a full review of this one a bit later on, so stay tuned for that. So the other thing I brought obviously is my phone. This is the Google Pixel 3. So I also brought my sunglasses. These are polarized sunglasses. These are called the Model 20 from a brand called Enclave Eyewear. So this trip, I was debating whether or not to bring this, but this is Nintendo Switch. I brought this one along just sort of for entertainment on the plane, but I actually ended up using this every night with my girlfriend to play the new Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 game, which has been very fun and enjoyable. So this here is the Airlight Towel from Sea to Summit. It's very small and lightweight and dries like within half an hour, and it's been very handy to have and use on the trip. I've decided I'll be using this over the pocket towel, which I used before, because it is smaller, lighter, and it dries just a little bit quicker overall. And so I will be doing a full review of that one a bit later, so stay tuned for that. So on the electronics side of things, I was using these IKEA packing cubes. This is one which I've used for my electronics, and this is one which I've used for my clothing. I will be doing a full review on those IKEA packing cubes a bit later if you're interested, so give a thumbs up if you would like to see that. In terms of electronics, I carried my MacBook Pro USB-C cable, which came in handy for charging not only the Nintendo Switch, but also the GoPro, my phone, and several other things. It was nice to have a long cable like this. I also carry this scale with me, so this is how I measure the weight of my bag while I'm packing and unpacking it. I also carried this here, which is the Road Warrior multi-purpose travel adapter. So that has the US and then the Australian plugs. All the plugs plug in the back of it. You can use the European ones here, and then they plug into the back here. And it actually is interesting because they sort of plug in like this and have the different configurations. So really handy little plug to have, and it is useful for all countries that you're traveling to, and it's very thin and lightweight. This here is a little charger I got for my Apple Watch. So this one plugs into a USB port, and this is what I used with me for the trip. I didn't bring my Apple charging brick, which is a 60-watt brick. This is only a 30-watt power delivery brick, and it doesn't charge my laptop as fast as the 60-watt, but it still does charge it, and it has two outputs, so I can charge a USB-C device and a standard USB. So I'd plug that there and charge my watch and charge my phone at the same time. So very handy little device to have. That's the Blitzwolf 30-watt power delivery USB charger. So I also bought the Samsung T5, just a little SSD drive for backing up videos and for video editing. I bought this here, which is a micro USB-C cable and a USB-C. I probably didn't need this because I have the other red one that I showed you earlier, but it is nice to have a couple of extra cables, a USB-A to USB-C, and I brought a couple of little adapters for USB-C to micro USB, standard USB-A to USB-C, and also an SD card reader with a USB-C and a standard USB-A. This was pretty handy as well. This is a USB-C to USB-C cable. This actually came with the T5, so that was a really handy combination. This cable was also able to be used to charge my phone and the Nintendo Switch, for example. So that all fits nicely into this IKEA packing cube, and basically just keeps things together and somewhat organized, so that they're not all just floating around your bag and getting lost. I usually just pack that one on the side here. So another IKEA packing cube was this one here, which I used for the clothing. And it actually, packs quite a lot into it for the size of it. So in here I carried my Western Rise button-down shirt. And I actually did wear this on the plane, so another way to reduce the weight of your bag is to wear some of the clothes while you're actually on the flight. So when I came here, I wore a merino shirt and then this and the jacket, so that takes some of the weight out of your bag and puts it onto yourself. This is a Woolen Prince t-shirt, which I did a review of up here. That's the mushroom color. So one button down, one t-shirt here. That's another Woolen Prince t-shirt there. This is a pair of shorts, so that's the New Way shorts from Outlier. I also did a review on these ones up here if you want to click that and have a look. So in terms of socks, I have this pair that I'm wearing right now. This is from Darn Tough, and I also have these other older Darn Tough socks that I usually travel with. So I had 2 pairs of socks. So in that case I could wash one pair and have a dry pair ready. I also carried these, which are the Woolen Prince boxer briefs. So while I was actually on the trip in Decathlon, I picked up these ones, which are Thailand boxer briefs, and they're pretty comfortable and pretty nice. These were pretty good for swimming and they dry pretty quickly as well. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of underwear, but I did come here with just the 3 pairs. This here is just an older pair of Uniqlo Airism boxer briefs. So that all fits nicely into this IKEA packing cube, which surprised me because it doesn't look like it would be able to fit that much, and it's super light and packs down to nothing. So the IKEA packing cubes are really great. I would definitely suggest checking them out if you're looking for a new set of packing cubes that are very lightweight. So with the clothing, I just typically put that down here on the side. This one here is the Turtle Travel Pillow Plus. So we'll be doing a full review of this one a bit later on. It has an improved design from the original, which I did a review of here. It's got an adjustable neck strap and 2 Velcro straps here. So you can actually adjust the height of this one, and it goes around your neck and with a lot more padding. So it's very comfortable, and I was able to sleep pretty comfortably with this one. Now this one, they also sent me a pair of the compression socks. So these are some compression socks from the Turtle brand. Now this one's not that lightweight, it's about half a kilogram or so. So what I did was, to take the weight off my bag, I just clipped this one to my belt as I checked in, so the weight of this bag was not included in the weight of my overall packed bag. So last but not least is the toiletry bag here. So I actually used the dry bag from Sea to Summit. This is the View 4-litre dry bag. So it has a little clip here, and you can use something like this, which I also took with me, which is the Hero clip, and you can clip that onto other things. So for example, to the outside of your bag or to your belt. I found that very handy, and it actually has removable clips, so if these clips break on you, you can replace them easily. So in my toiletry bag here, I have a toothbrush. I have this here, which is the Mueller shaving brush. So that comes out there and turns into a shaving brush. I have a retainer here. This is some shaving soap, which is a safety razor, but it's sort of a kind of like a disposable single-use safety razor. Carried this here, which is the Tweezerman tweezers. Always handy to have a pair of tweezers with you. That's another disposable double-edged safety razor. Just a small toothpaste here. Earbuds, which are always handy to have. I also took this here, which is a styptic pencil, so if I cut myself while shaving. Also carry a little floss with me. And finally, the Victorinox travel tweezers. So I did a review of those here if you want to take a look. Very nice and compact, and always handy to have that with you. So some of the other things I took here with me were the liquid things. So this is actually something I picked up while I was here. This is some sun cream. I always carry this here. It's the Lucas Pawpaw ointment. That can be helpful for if you have dry lips or you get an insect bite. That can help heal it a bit. Also, I carried this one with me in my day bag here. This is the Naturapel Caridin mosquito repellent. So it's better than DEET in my opinion, because DEET can melt nylon equipment. So if you have nylon stuff, like I wear nylon pants and I have a lot of nylon gear, it can damage that. Caridin doesn't damage nylon equipment, and it seemed to work pretty well. I could see the mosquitoes flying around but not landing, and unable to find a place to bite. So that was very handy to have. So the last couple of things I have in my dry bag is the Old Spice deodorant. I carry this one with me just because I like the smell of it, but it is a little big. I would probably carry a smaller one in the future. But this is the Matador soap bag. So the wet soap in here actually dries through this material. And I also took the Sea to Summit waterproof phone case, just for traveling through the islands. So taking pictures with my phone, it was handy to have that with it. So this one I typically packed just above the clothing here in my bag. And then the day bag, since it's got all my GoPro and accessories in it, I just pop that one up here. So this is basically my bag fully packed for the front part. With the jacket, I just leave that on top. My towel also just there. So that all zips up nicely. In terms of the front, I would put my hero clip just through here, like so. With the travel wallet, I would just pop that down front here. With my switch, I just typically put that here. I usually put the scale just here. And I would sometimes clip this on the outside of the bag or carry it with me. But I can also fit that one just inside the bag here, like so. So that is my bag fully packed and ready to go. So without these 3 items in my bag, the total pack weight is actually within the 7 kilogram carry-on limit. So aside from those things, there are a couple of other things which I probably could have traveled without. So the mirrorless camera, which I'm using to film this right now, I could have probably gone without it and just used my phone for the trip. It was about 2 pounds or just under a kilogram in total pack weight just for the camera alone with the lens. And because I'm using the Sigma 16mm lens, it's a bit of a heavy lens. With the camera body, it was a bit heavy, so if I didn't have the camera, I would probably be able to pack these things and still be in the weight limit. Another thing is the GoPro, with all the accessories that I took, was also roughly about half a kilogram or just over. So that's like 1 pound or just over a pound. And so I probably could have done without that as well, or just taken the GoPro and not the mirrorless camera. The other heavy item, which I need for video editing, but you probably wouldn't really need for most people, and that is 1.3 kilograms, which is 2.8 pounds. So definitely the heaviest item in the list, and one that I wish I could travel without, but unfortunately for video traveling I do need to carry that one with me. The other unusual thing is that this bag itself, while empty, is actually 1.2 kilograms or 2.6 pounds. So if I had a lighter weight bag, some of that weight would also be reduced and I could pack a little bit more, or I could pack the same and have a bit more surplus weight. So the weight of the bag itself is actually something to consider when you're packing. So that's it, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something or got some tips or tricks out of it. Thank you again for watching. Be sure to stay subscribed to keep up with future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.